All right. Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, on his brand new computer, and ClipChamp is finally working properly again. I am the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters, and today is Sunday, the 11th of January, 2026, CE. We're going to be reviewing Yogg, Monster from Space, because I didn't bother watching The Skull last night. So, before we get too much further into it, how much I love this movie, please like, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this movie. Have you seen it? Do you like the monsters? Do you like 1971 Toho? Anything. It's just really fun to see comments. I do love the movie. And if you could watch a little longer than usual, I promise you'll be entertained all the way through. All right, are you ready? Let's dive into Yogg, Monster from Space. So I remember seeing the poster, which we saw at the beginning, of this movie in the theater. And I remember seeing a trailer and hearing some kids, older kids, talking about how big the squid, because we didn't know Gazora was a cuttlefish. We just assumed it was a giant squid, a giant squid, a colossal giant squid, if you will. But because that's what it looks like. I mean, it's got 10 tentacles, or etc. But I remember hearing them talk about how big it must be. It could reach clear across the street. It's not quite that big, but according to the poster, it was earth shattering. The very mysterious poster that was a little over promising what Gazora would be. Still, I was probably 5 or 6 years. It was, I think, 71 when it was released. These are a couple of shots right here from the from my copy of Yogg Monster from Space. I transferred from the Star Maker VHS tape to DVD way back when. It was released in Japan on August 1st, 1970. It's as old as it's 5 years younger than my brother to the day. And it was released in 1971, shortened by about 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, really, here and there. So the reconstruction is available on, because I did watch it with the AIP dub. There is an international dub plus Japanese subtitles here and there. The DVD came from that. But this was from the Internet Archive. So we're going to see the widescreen version, what you would have seen. But that's how I saw it on television in about 73. It's probably my first non-Godzilla Toho movie, which might be why at age 8 I saw it and loved it, because it had lots of monsters and it was fun. It's a fun movie. Okay, having said all that, it is the last of Toho's the golden age, where they had actors that we are all used to seeing, as we'll go through. So anyway, here we go. You can tell this came from a VHS source, probably my tape. And then it goes into this with some extra credits. This one came from one Konstantin Furman, who does the great work that he does. And then we start out with the movie. Akira Ufukube did the script, the songs, the music. There is one song in it, but a lot of it came from his score for Varan the Unbelievable, and some of it came from King Kong versus Godzilla. But this is a beautiful opening where the Helio 7 launches. It's an unmanned rocket. It's headed toward the planet Jupiter, which it's going to get crushed when it gets into the atmosphere, but that's okay. We did do this later on with, I think, one of the Voyagers, maybe. But there it is, headed toward Jupiter. There's Mars and Jupiter. It's headed for the great red spot of Jupiter. Unfortunately, it runs afoul of the astro quasars, the Space Amoeba of the Japanese title, which is what it's called. I mean, Yogg Monster from Space makes no sense. The late Mr. Owari did a whole article, and it's appeared twice in issues of Zenorama. The last one, number 75, if you want to read a little more about it as to why it got that title. And it got the Tetra dub, or Titan dub, whichever one you prefer, that Peter Fernandez did. So it's much superior to the international dub. Anyway, Nice animation here. This these spores, the astro quasars take over and direct the Helio 7 back to Earth. Then, I don't know, 6 or 7 months later, it returns and crashes into the South Pacific. There it is, the subtitles. And our hero here, which is reporter Taro Kudo, they call him Kudo the whole time, played by Akira Kubo, who was Captain Yamabe in, Katsuo Yamabe in Destroy All Monsters, captain of the SY-3 itself. So he's our hero. He's a photographer, and he tries to get a picture of it, but it's too late. Goes back and tells his boss. They all laugh at him and assign him to Solgel, Silgio, something. It's not Solgel. That's where Son of Godzilla is being stored right now in deep freeze, along with Godzilla. Mo, maybe not. Well, at least Minya's in deep freeze. Anyway, there's a nice little model of it, and he meets Yukiko Kabayashi as Saki. I think that's her, and she was Kyoko Manabe in Destroy All Monsters. So they have a good chemistry. The whole cast is just really great. And they meet, that would be Dr. Kiyoshi Miya, and that's Yoshio Tsushita, who is the other. These are our three main heroes until we get to the island. Here's a couple of islanders going fishing in a forbidden area where the god Gazora lives. Turns out Gazora is real. Unfortunately, he's also been taken over by the astro quasars and probably embiggened into this size. And he grabs one of them and eats him, I guess. Who knows what he does? Look at those big old red eyes. So right away, you get the cuttlefish, Gazora, who's known to the natives. They worship him or something. Shades of Godzilla. One of the great things about this movie, well, we'll get into that. And there she is again. And there is our semi-villain, but not really, our doomed Makoto Obata. That's Kenji Sahara. Of course, we know him as well from many things. As just pick one. And there's just the boat going toot. And that's Riko, as Noritaki Saito plays Riko, who runs afoul of Gazora here. Our group lands with a boat. They set up, and nobody wants to talk about what just happened because he ate one of the people. But it's beautiful. This was filmed on Achigo Island, about 700 miles south of Tokyo in the middle of winter. And so the cast is dressed for a tropical location, but I'm sure that they were happy to go back to Toho Studios and film the rest of it. So there we see that, and then the doctor sees these bright eyes. What is that? It splashes everybody. They find the watch, and that is the missing man's watch. Everyone freaks out. He runs. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. And there Gazora is now walking, a giant cuttlefish walking on the land. As a kid, even I knew that squid couldn't do that. And he's not a squid. He's a cephalopod. But and I say he. We don't know what it was. But look at it. It's almost a squid. But cuttlefish are a lot smaller than squid. And he's being possessed. So he's, like I said, embiggened by the astro quasars. He attacks the hut, damages Riko, and suddenly, mysteriously, he wanders off when the bats appear. Dun, dun, dun. Spoiler alert. I mean, they give it away right away, but no one's paying attention. Our party shows up and sees the Jeep is wrecked and everything's dead, but they find Riko, and he's got sucker marks on him that were made by intense cold. So that's a clue, too. And tracks is something came out of the water and went back. Kudo is like, what's going on here? And he also sees Obata taking the plans, so he's obviously an industrial spy. None of this is subtle, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, they're stuck on an island. There's a giant monster, at least. They don't know why. They don't know about the astro quasars like we do. And that is the girlfriend, Riko is intended. I want to say that is Watari Ome as Sakura. I'm not 100% sure. So I could have gotten them backwards, but I think that since Yukiko Saki has got a third bill, she's probably, yeah. So she leads them back to the village. The natives are upset at them because they've angered Gazora, who's their one of their at least one of their gods. But they're treating Rico, trying to get him to respond. So the doctor and Kudo go underwater to look for. I mean, they brought scuba gear with them. We didn't see that in the packs, but apparently it's there. And then that's the chief. He's played by. Does he have a name there? I don't see his name. Supplicator Ambo. That's Ambo. Tetsuo Nakamura, who probably has done lots of things as well. Followed by some of his minions. And they're mad at him, but it's too late now. So they find the Helios 7, take a picture, and then guess who shows up? Gazora. I had to brighten this quite a bit to even see him, just because of the underwater photography, but the Gazora immediately attacks the divers, but a pod of dolphins show up and scare the monster off. Dun dun dun, more spoilers. And they get free and they get out of the water. And we'll see there's the ink. And they get out and they're like, what's going on? But Gazora's had enough and he's going out to kill everybody or something. So the natives are dancing around to the King Kong song. From King Kong versus Godzilla, the only thing that survived of Ifukubi's music into the US version, really. And there's an animated tentacle and just bloodshot eyes. This poor critter doesn't deserve that. Yeah, he didn't really say he wasn't worthy, but he was bowing down. He gets knocked away, so obviously he wasn't worthy. And then these nice miniatures. Now, Gazora is obviously only about 30, 35 feet tall, maybe 40. So they're not gigantic Godzilla-sized monsters. They're, 10 meters, 15 meters at tops, at least this one. But it does not like fire. Fire, fire, fire. And since with the new computer, I don't have all my sound bites, so sorry. And it recoils, but then I love these shots like this where you can see the set and the monster walking through it. Those are my favorites. Probably they're just so cool. Fortunately, the natives was an old Japanese army station on here, so they have oil, they have gasoline, and they have guns and bombs. So they pretty much turn Gazora into calamari, and there's the women and Rico because he's still shell shocked, and you can see the burn marks on Gazora. He falls into the water, he swims away, and it's a really nicely done shot, and dies. And the Space Amoeba, the Astro Quasars, leave his body. And I love the animation style of that. It's just really cool looking to me. So the natives show him the ammunition depot from the 105th unit. Now, perhaps they weren't Japanese. This might be from the Allies. We don't know. I don't know. Somebody can correct me in the comments if you want to. And now, oh, great. We've got all this stuff. Let's go. And then Obata was trying to leave. And he's like, don't shoot. But guess what happens? And for some reason, instead of blue, it's red. And then Ganime shows up. Now, I know his real name or the official name has an S, but that doesn't even make sense. That makes it sound like there's 7 of them. But giant sand crab comes out of the water. It's really well done. Obviously a little different than Ibira, who was a shrimp. And this really nice puppet here. The natives, you have a Gatling gun, a machine gun of some kind, and they shoot at it. There's a nice matte shot here. Really nice effects work done by Sademasa Arakawa, because they do have Honda left apparently because they would not give Tsuburaya credit in the movie, which is just dumb. What's a 5-second title card? But Sademasa Arakawa did the special effects here. So more shooting. One of the things I like about this is that they don't have any super scientific weapons. They're all alone. It's just the natives and who are never treated poorly. They're just equals and happy to have help. And so are our heroes. Kudo shoots out one of the eyeballs in a bloody mess, and the other one he does eventually. But he tricks the monster into falling down a gorge. And stunt doubles at least very athletic. And it tries to climb up, but fortunately there's some gas cans down there. How convenient! and kaboom! And now we've got fried crab legs, which are good. High effort, low reward, but super tasty. And, another match shot there. And then they're like, well, maybe we're done. Unfortunately, that did not kill the astro quasars. And some of them escape into the ocean, and dumb old Obata goes wandering by and runs into it. And apparently, he's never seen the blob because he pokes a stick at this thing. Something that's creeping along at you, you run from. It's not very fast, but it's also very cold. But it catches him and they possess him. They don't eat him, but they possess him. And we get we get to find out who they are. They talk to him and say, you're going to be our, we're taking over so we can use you to stop the humans from learning about our one weakness. Dun, dun, dun. We've already seen it. Dolphins and bats. What do they have in common? Sonar and radar. I just like the shot of Kudo taking pictures of the remains of the crab. And then they're like, the doctor finally says, we're dealing with something from space here. It's not earthly. Why would those things were small creatures and now they're gigantic? And what did we say her name was? Sakura is going to marry Riko, even though he's catatonic. They're having a party. Everyone's invited. And then the sand turtle shows up, which this is Kamiba. Now, again, it's officially Kamibas with an S. I don't know why, but Kame is the Japanese word for turtle, but you couldn't say Kamera, so that's why we got Gamera. But this is a good-looking sand turtle. They managed to hide the actor crawling around on his knees for most of the movie, but he shows up and he chases them in. They find the final bats. They figured it out that the bats are the reason. Well, wait a minute. Are we there yet? There's the bats. And then Obata shows up. Yeah, because Rico gets out of his catatonic trance when he hears the bats. So, or something like that. Kudo's not buying Obata, though. And he's like, okay. And then, so we're toward the end here. And he picks him up. I mean, Obata's like, I'm going to kill all the bats because that's what the aliens are telling me to do. He picks him up and throws him. Fortunately, Ayako Hoshino, maybe she's related to Hoshino from Ultraman. Ayako appeals to his humanity and he starts fighting the aliens. So this is a nice little, he's doing his best. And really, Sahara does such a good job here at being conflicted and, Rico attacks him and he just throws him away. The sand crab shows up because he starts talking. The aliens start talking through him and they say the giant crab. They don't act like it's a second crab, but it really is because the other one got fried and blown apart. So I didn't realize for several viewings because this was a perennial. I saw it on channel 7, I want to say, on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe in it might have been 73. I think it was after they'd shown Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. This was I wish I'd have been able to see this movie in the theater. I would have probably been terrified, but I'd loved it. So the crab and the turtle are advancing, and Ayako is still appealing to Obata to resist the aliens, but he lights the match. She cries, and he finally frees the bats. They're out, and they're flying over there, and they're disrupt. The aliens' one weakness is radar, and so hypersonic sound, that we can't hear, but it affects them. So, and he's looking at him, and the bats, free the monster. They're now monsters because they're giant, but they free the crab and the turtle, and they start fighting, and it's a fun little fight. They should have split it up a little more. They did a good job. It's only the last 10 minutes of the movie. Good fight scene. Let's see. Nakajima-san played Gazora and Ganime, and then let's see. Kamiba was played by Haruyoshi Nakamura, and then so good. I would have wanted to play the turtle. That would have been fun because I think of the turtle as the good guy. I don't know why. Maybe because of Gamera. So as you can see, there's an active volcano back here, so it's going to happen. Even at 8 years old, I knew that the monsters were going to end up in the volcano. But I really do like the design. Now, Kamiba showed up in one of the Godzilla X Mecha Godzilla movies. I don't know which one, the first or second one. We'll get to them eventually because I like the third series. But so they fight in the, and then they fall in, and the monster, and everyone gets down. The volcano explodes, but it doesn't destroy the island, so everyone's safe. It just takes care of the monsters and the aliens, except for the final one. And Obata sacrifices himself for the good of humanity. The bats had to weaken their control over him, obviously, and he just jumps in the volcano, and that's it. I mean, and in the full screen version, this is pretty much all you see, in the because we didn't get the widescreen, so it was harder to see what was going on. I'm really grateful for DVDs for making and widescreen for making this way more acceptable. People did not want to watch letterbox stuff back in the day, which I never understood because you're not seeing as much it's not filling up the whole screen. It's like, it's my issue. I'll deal with it. Now I don't have to because everyone has widescreen televisions. See, and I don't know if there was an implied romance that Ayako was, liked him or something because he was kind of sleazy anyway. He was not a hero. He was not a hero at the beginning. He was a spy, but you know, they say that he sacrificed himself. Some stock footage of lava. The obligatory ship shows up. Everyone cheers, but the natives don't have to leave. I don't know if they're still going to build a playground on there, Monster Land, if you will, or Playmate Land. Going back to Gappa, they still didn't learn what happens when you invade lands that have monsters hanging around them. But that's the end. They're gonna, at least our heroes are rescued. The natives, most of the natives are still alive. It's a fun movie. That's all there is to it. It's just a fun movie. Seeing it at age 8 was the best age, and I've just loved it since then. I bought that Star Maker video from Time Warp Comics. Thank you, Wayne. And for like $3, $2 or $3. They had several of them, and I bought that immediately because there was another one that didn't have as good a transfer of all things. So I was happy to get that back in the day. And like I was happy to get the Gigantor videotapes and the Ultraman doll. So tomorrow we will be watching Speed Racer. I'm hoping that the promo we'll see here momentarily is good. But until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
Alloy wheels, chrome details, custom paint, premium stereo. The Mystery Machine has room for 5. And the power and handling you expect from a quality driving machine. What the? Oh! Speed Racer on Cartoon Network.
Dogs should not drive.